The Auditor General's special audit on the Immigration and Nationality Department will also be presented at tomorrow's House meeting. Prime Minister Barrow stated that the findings compromising some ministers who gave recommendations to people to access official Belizean documents is a concern.
I've got it, maybe a month or so ago. This is the first House meeting where I've had a chance to indicate that the report will be laid on the table. In going over it, I was confounded by the details of what we knew long ago was happening. Remember, this was 2012, 2013, and one of the reasons for the commissioning of the audit was because there had been revelations of the goings-on. But still, when you get into the details, it does paint a sorry picture.
The Prime Minister said having known about the issues going on at the department, measures were taken to reduce these happenings.
Because we did know what had been happening, we tried to put in place improvements, new systems, new personnel. In terms of visas, for example, visas can only now be approved after the visa vetting committee would have screened all the applications. Similarly, for nationality certificates, the minister can't sign except a committee has approved, that has pronounced that everything is in order. So my comfort is that since all that was taking place and since we put into position these new structures, we haven't heard of this sort of thing happening.
However, Prime Minister Barrow said the findings only show ministers giving recommendations and not engaging in any complicit corruption.
From what I saw of the report, while there are conclusions that in some cases seem inescapable, the report can't and doesn't actually say Minister A is guilty of corruption, Minister B is guilty of corruption, Public Officer A is guilty of corruption, Public Officer B is guilty of corruption. Take the case of ministers. They're writing recommendation letters. At one point there was a suggestion that that was improper. I don't see how that can be improper. When a minister writes a recommendation, the department is by no means bound to accept that recommendation. Ministers have constituents. Constituents come to them all the time to write letters of various sorts. They want to go in for a visa, they ask for a recommendation. They want a job, they ask for a recommendation. So just the writing of the recommendation letters by itself clearly is no evidence of corruption. No. Some of the circumstances in which the letters were written beg the question: were ministers serious about checking out the people they were writing recommendations for? Did they examine the circumstances? Did they try to ensure that the information they were given was accurate? And clearly, in very many instances, the answers to those questions are no, no, and no.